This software demonstration is for business owners that want to enhance the value or sell their business or both. The software collects and organizes key business data so evaluation and an appraisal of the business can be made to increase the business valuation or properly price the business for sale. I've set up a demo company here to demonstrate what the software does, and it begins with edit business data. If you hover over business and click edit business data, you'll end up on this page. It begins with company name, the industry the company's in, the year the business started, and pretty much fill out the information as it is presented. If you have a logo that you want to include, you can upload that to here to personalize your profile a little bit more. The next tab is the overview questionnaire. By clicking on that tab, you get over to the questionnaire, and it starts with a revenue breakdown. Now, we want to capture about 75 to 80% of the products that are basically sold in your business. That represents 75 or 80% of the revenue. So in this case, these are all basically made up, but in this case, we have ice cream, chocolate ice cream, that's 50% of sales, and we have brake shoes that are 30%, which is 80%, and then we have computer, which accounts for 20% of sales. So 100% of the sales are comprised of these three items. But this is make-believe, but in your case, we want to capture roughly 75 to 80%. If you have, let's say, 20 products, you can expand these groups by clicking on the plus button. So by clicking on the plus button, you get an additional box, and as many boxes as you want. I can also take them away, like so. So after that, we want to describe the business that we're in. In this case, it's a retail store selling ice cream and an assortment of cakes. Okay. You can also use your favorite text editor like Word to generate some of this, some of the copy here, and then just cut and paste right into these boxes to make sure your spelling is okay and all that kind of stuff. So here is a description of the business. Your description will obviously be different, but your description will go here. And you answer questions like the geographic area. Here we ask the owner training that you're willing to provide. In this example, it's owner will provide 60 days of training. It asks for upgrade requirements. What sort of capital requirements in the way of upgrades are required for the company, licensing fees. All these things are basically asked in this questionnaire. We go to primary competition, which is the same kind of setup as the product breakdown. You just add in your competition and their market share by percentage. And every industry is different, whether it's very fragmented or very concentrated, but you want to add as much information as you can here. Certainly your direct competition you want to add here, and whether it's 2% or 20% of the marketplace, you want to add that here. Next comes the owners and what they do in the company. If there's just one owner, you would subtract these boxes and obviously just put that one person in with their title and what they do. You know, do they manage, or are they just simply an executive? Whatever they do, you just add it in this box and what their key responsibilities are. The next thing we want to add is the location of the business. If there are multiple locations, you can use the plus box and add as many additional locations are necessary. There's a description of the facility. It might be a brick building, it might be warehouse space, it might be retail space, but you just describe what the facility is. The next box is biggest sales opportunity, financial summary. This is just sort of a subjective analysis of the company. It might be the company has recently done well after 3 bad quarters because of the economy or what have you. So answer these questions as they are basically listed here, and you want to make sure you save everything, because this will allow you to stop your work at any place and continue or resume from where you left off. So after the overview, we go to input data. Input data is where you enter all of your financials. In the first page are assets. Each one of these tabs represents another page: assets, liabilities, management costs, adjusted P&L, etc. So starting with assets, you're going to add cash, securities, accounts receivables, and so on. All this gets added for up to 5 years. If you only have 2 years, you just add the 2 most recent years. Next we'll go to liabilities, and it's set up the same way. You put in the liabilities such as accounts payable, taxes, notes to shareholders, anything that basically is a liability. This creates your balance sheet. The next tab is management costs. Management costs are what it would cost to hire a manager to manage the operation. If you as owner are the manager, you would just come up with a number to replace yourself. This number should be reasonable, but at the same time, it's not the number that you would necessarily work for, because remember, we want this number to be basically reasonable but low enough so the business can be profitable with a manager running it. Also add in the different benefits that that person would get, such as health insurance, a vehicle, or any other thing that they might need as a perk to get that person in. The next thing is the adjusted P&L. The adjusted P&L is where we add all of the income and expense items, and also we're going to take out all of the discretionary items, the items that the new owner isn't likely to incur. For example, if you have 3 vehicles, that might be your spouse's vehicle and even maybe your kid's vehicle or a family member's vehicle, that while it's expensed through the business, the next owner may not have to do that, or probably won't do that, and may not even need to expense any vehicles at all, except for some minor expenses that they might handle another way for vehicles. This effectively allows you to back out some expenses and increase the real profit of the business, the profit numbers that the next new owner is likely to basically see. Also, there are some places that you can make adjustments or catch-alls for some discretionary items that you haven't taken out elsewhere, can be taken out as an adjustment. Other discretionary items is an example of that. All right, let's move on to fair market value of assets. The book value of the asset is different from the fair market value of the asset. This page adjusts for the fair market value of the assets. So, for example, cash is valued at 100% because cash is cash if it transfers through the business, while something like inventory will not transfer at 100%. Some inventory may only be worth 80 or 90% of what you paid for them, or even less in some cases. So this sheet will make adjustments for the fair market value of the assets. Next is replacement costs. Replacement costs are the costs to actually replace a particular item, whether it be equipment, inventories, etc. And liquidation value is pretty self-explanatory, and there are some liquidation factors that are standard to each industry that will be adjusted depending on your industry. The next item is collateral value of transferable assets. This is for bankability. what banks are basically going to be able to hold for collateral and basically make a loan on. The next sheet is ease of financing. Ease of financing is somewhat subjective, and it works from a scale of 0 to 6. So in profitability, if you have a history of losses and not yet profitable, you would score 0. On the other extreme, if you're very profitable and you have a strong management team in place, it's going to be a 6. However, if as owner you also are a part of the management team, you have to make an adjustment for that. So if you're no longer managing the business, we're going to assume that the management is going to be less strong because the new guy's not going to have your skills and experience. So that might go from a 6 to perhaps a 5 if you have a strong maybe supervisor or general manager that can really put things together in your absence and bring along the new owner up to speed quickly. In fact, that even can get you back up to a 6 depending on how strong that person might be. The next thing is collateral. You will score a 0 if the equipment is outdated and basically needs to be replaced within the next 24 months. You would get a 6 if the assets are basically newer, very valuable, and can easily be converted to cash. So if you have a forklift that's maybe 2 or 3 years old, it's a high-end forklift, and it's in excellent condition, that could easily be sold and converted to cash. I won't go through all of these different categories, but they're all essentially the same. When all of these factors are inputted or scored, you'll get a score based on these inputs. So if you're scoring mostly 5s and 6, financing is going to be very likely, versus if you score a lot of 0s to 2s, financing is unlikely. Answer these as honestly and accurately as you can, because this will add a high degree of accuracy to your valuation and what you can expect to actually get for your business in the marketplace. And like any page that you do, you want to always hit save, so if you don't complete a page, you can come back and continue where you left off. Okay, the last page is risk factors. Now, risk factors are valued in a similar way, in that 0 is the worst rating and 6 is the best. So you go through all of these different questions and you answer them accordingly, and when you're done, you will also get a score, or in this case you'll actually get a cap rate, and that goes into one of the 6 valuations that you'll get for your business. Okay. Now, after all the inputs are done, you're able to go to reports, and we'll start the valuation report, which gets outputted as a PDF. Now, this PDF allows you to obviously email it, print it out, or do whatever you need to communicate this information. So the heart of the valuation is right here. Here are 6 different methods that include industry buyer method, basic, discretionary earnings, comparable sales, cost to replace, debt capacity method. And it takes this and it does a straight average value and a weighted average value. Depending on your industry or the industry that you input will change how the different valuation methods are weighted. So in this example, there's a range between 345 and 533. So your asking price will likely be somewhere in this range, depending on some of the other factors that we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, so we have the valuation done. Now we look at the offering report. I won't go through this in detail, but all the inputs allow you to basically output all of these different reports that you can use in marketing and selling your business. Okay, the briefing report. Okay, here's the briefing report, and the briefing report is a somewhat of an anonymous document that you use to help market your business, and it just tells really a thumbnail shot about your business without giving too much information before you have a signed non-disclosure agreement. Okay, the last one is a financial profile report. Each one of these reports tells a different story and has a different amount of data that's shared. Depending on the interest that your buyer has will determine which report you share and when you share it. So those are the reports that will be generated for you based on the information that you entered. Thank you for looking at this demonstration. Hopefully it's been helpful, and if you have any questions, certainly please contact us and we'll walk you through anything you might be having a problem with.